Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in data but totally starving for actual insights? Well, today we're going to trade in our spreadsheets for trench coats. That's right, we're becoming data detectives, and we're going to learn how to uncover the hidden stories and solve the toughest mysteries buried deep in the numbers. So, let's get started on our first investigation. And our whole investigation really kicks off with this simple but super powerful idea. I want you to forget about dry lectures and endless charts. Think of this as your training ground. We're here to learn how to think like a real data detective, using all the clues around us to piece together the truth. Every detective's journey has to start somewhere, right? It starts with that first case. And I want you to consider this one yours. We are about to walk through the entire investigative process, from finding that very first clue all the way to cracking the case wide open. Think about it. Every case, every single mystery, every unanswered question, it all begins with evidence. For us data detectives, that evidence, well, it's the data itself. It's the digital fingerprints left behind by clicks on a web page. It's the witness statements hidden in customer surveys. It's all those patterns just lurking in your sales numbers. A detective is only as good as their clues, So first things first, where do we find them? And maybe even more importantly, how do we know which ones we can actually trust? Let's talk about where data comes from and its quality. So your clues can come from two main places. First, you've got your internal clues, the stuff you find right there at the scene of the crime inside your own company. This is your sales data, your web logs, all that intel on your most loyal customers. But then you've got external clues from the wider world. Social media chatter about your rivals, whispers of market trends. A really great detective knows how to work both of those angles. Okay, now here's where the rookies always get tripped up. They treat every single piece of information like it's the absolute truth. But a seasoned detective, they know better. They ask the tough questions, like, is this evidence rock solid, or is it going to crumble under cross-examination in the boardroom? Think of this as your data forensics kit. You got to dust for prints and ask those critical questions. How old is this clue? Is it fresh, or are we looking at a cold case file? Was the evidence gathered fairly, or was the scene maybe tampered with? Is my informant a trusted source, or are they just feeding me bad intel? Seriously, these questions are what separate the good leads from the dead ends. And hey, let's be really clear about the red herrings here. It's so easy to get distracted by things that just don't matter. The font on the report, the brand of coffee the analyst was drinking when they ran the numbers. None of that is relevant. A good detective knows to focus on what truly affects the integrity of the evidence, not the window dressing. The number one enemy of any investigation, it's bias. Bias is kind of like a witness who's trying to mislead you, telling you only the parts of the story that fit their own agenda. I mean, take a self-reported survey. Ask people how often they work out, and you might find they suddenly remember a few extra gym sessions that maybe didn't happen. That's bias, and if you're not careful, it can send your entire investigation way off course. All right, so you've gathered your clues, you've confirmed they're legit. What's next? Well, now it's time to make them talk. This is where you get to unleash your analytical superpowers and really force the data to reveal its secrets. I want you to think of these as 4 levels of detective mastery. Each one builds on the last, and they get more and more powerful and, a little more challenging as you go. You start by describing the scene of the crime. Then you diagnose the cause. Next, you predict the culprit's next move. And finally, you prescribe the best course of action to close the case for good. Let's break each one of these down. Okay, so first up, we've got descriptive analytics. This is your power of pure observation. It's all about laying out the cold, hard facts of the case. What happened? Well, we sold more of product X than product Y last month. See? No opinions, no theories, just the facts. Next, you level up to diagnostic analytics. This is the power to connect the dots. You're not just stating what happened anymore, you're figuring out why it happened. What caused that production delay? Why was product X so popular all of a sudden? You're digging for the motive. Now, this is where things get really cool. We move from just understanding the past to actually predicting the future with predictive analytics. It's like a detective profiling a suspect to anticipate their next move. Based on all the past patterns, what's likely to happen next? Which customers are at risk of leaving us? We're using evidence from the past to get a step ahead of the future. And finally, we have the ultimate superpower. Prescriptive analytics. This doesn't just predict the future, it tells you how to change it for the better. It literally recommends the single best action to take.
What's the optimal strategy to prevent that customer from leaving? This is where data turns into a concrete, actionable plan. It's a total game changer. Every great detective has a specialized toolkit, right? A fingerprinting kit, a magnifying glass, maybe a set of lockpicks. In data analytics, it is no different at all. You have to choose the right tool for the specific mystery you're trying to solve. So let's say this is your question. You've got this huge list of customers, just a sea of faces. How on earth do you find the natural groups, the different gangs or cliques that exist within that crowd? Well, for that job, you're going to need clustering. This is the tool that sifts through the whole crowd and automatically finds individuals with similar characteristics, grouping them together for you. It's the perfect way to discover your different customer segments without any guesswork, which lets you tailor your approach to each specific group. Now, what if you're trying to predict something? You got to be careful, because two tools can sound really similar but do totally different things. You'll want to use regression analysis when you want to predict a specific number, like next quarter sales figures. But you should use logistic regression when you need a simple yes or no answer, like will this customer click the buy button? And finally, we have A/B testing. This is the detective's secret weapon for running controlled experiments. Basically, you create two versions of a clue, like a red buy now button versus a green one, show them to different groups of people, and see which one gets a better result. It's a super simple but incredibly powerful way to get a definitive answer to your questions. Look, the case is never closed until the paperwork is done. Cracking the code is only half the battle. A truly great detective has to be able to present their findings in a way that is clear, compelling, and actually leads to action. You have to tell the story of the data. Your visuals are an absolutely critical part of telling that story. So here's a little cheat sheet to simplify the choice. Use a bar chart to compare different groups. Use a line chart to show trends over time. A box plot will help you spot the unusual suspects, the outliers. And a heat map can show you exactly where all the action is happening on a web page. This is your go-to guide for building a powerful visual story. And finally, you gotta know your key stats. When you're talking about something with huge outliers like salaries, please use the median, not the average. When you care about the extremes like the high and low temperatures for the day, use the range. And if you have a website, you absolutely have to know your bounce rate. It's a vital clue that tells you if your site is engaging or just plain confusing. And there you have it, the complete data detectives process. You know how to find and check your clues, how to interrogate them with analytical superpowers, how to pick the right tools for the job, and how to present your case with real impact. So, the only question left is, with all these new skills in your arsenal, what mystery are you going to solve first?